Welcome to another episode of Let's Be Perfectly Queer. On this episode, we're looking back to Valentine's Day of 2020. So just a little over a year ago, when this group of amazing guests were with me at the Drawer Studio here in downtown Barrie for the very first Be My HIV Valentine event. Unfortunately, the repeat of that event did not happen this year, thanks to our dear friend, Miss Corona. But hopefully we'll be able to do it again next year. I actually thought about doing a virtual version of it, very similar to what Casey House is doing with June's this year. But I'll be quite honest, COVID has really knocked the heck out of my mental health, and I just didn't have it in me to try and pull off a virtual event. And the success of last year was just so amazing that I wanted to really, when we do it again, I want to do it again and do it right, and have folks in a room together. So please welcome my guest this evening. I'm going to start off with the wonderful Chef Suzanne Barr. Thank you so much for joining us this evening, Suzanne. Really appreciate you being here. I have missed that beautiful face.
Thank you for having me. It is an honor and pleasure to see all of your faces. I'm actually at a friend's kitchen space, so we're doing some prep in the kitchen in the back. So if you hear a little commotion, it's just we're in the process of working. But you know, it's weird to think that a year ago this week we were all running and prepping and chopping and cutting and to be here now again and with you, it's just an honor, and I'm so grateful, and it just really, it brings me to tears just to remember how special that time was with you all.
Well, we certainly appreciate it. I've been anxious to have you on the show ever since then, so I'm glad it's finally happened. And of course, my fellow chefs, Kellie Leader, Carla Evans, and my buddy Guy Bethel. Thank you all for joining us on the show tonight. I'm going to start with my buddy Kellie, only because I know if there's any tears, we'll get them out of the way right now. Kellie, this was a pretty, it was a big event for all of us, but I think as I reminisce and look back, this was probably, if not one of the first times that you really publicly shared your story and talked about the fact that you are a woman living with HIV. And I think it's particularly important now as we're right in the middle, we're coming out of the Love Positive Women campaign for, I think this is the 8th year that initiative has been going. So talk to us a little bit about what Be My HIV Valentine meant to you and how, if any way, it changed you.
Yeah, it meant a lot to me. I felt very, I don't know, I had a lot of things come to me from the universe, things, plaques, just telling me that it's time. It's time that I open up being HIV positive. I tell my story. I don't let other people tell my story, and it is my story to tell. So when you come to me around this event, I questioned it, and if I was ready to actually publicly be open about it. And it was yes, all the way. I sat on it a few days. I meditated on it for a few days, but I knew it was time. I knew it was time for me to be open and public, and it's been a ride. It's been amazing, though. It's been really good. Yeah, and Love Positive Women. Yeah, definitely. Like, to do it on this backdrop, like right now at the end of Love Positive Women, is just amazing. Yes.
Yeah, you've certainly had quite a journey over the last year, and I for one have loved watching it, and I know it's only going to continue. You've been doing some amazing work in both the activism and advocacy end of HIV, and it's certainly important work that you're doing. And I've told you this before. You know, every time you tell your story, you're saving lives. So kudos for you for that.
Yeah.
Guy, what about you? You've been involved in the Casey House June's Eatery for a couple of years. I know you were part of the very first June's Eatery, which is sort of where the inspiration for Be My HIV Valentine came from. So having you be part of this event as well was wonderful to me. And the fact that, you know, we're all folks who live in Simcoe, Muskoka, I think that was important. So tell us what you got out of the event and what you've been doing since.
Well, let's also remember that June's, the amazing event it was where we started our friendship.
It's true.
So double bonus for me on that. And, you know, reflecting a year later, I still feel so good to bring this message to Barrie, of all places. Small conservative central Ontario is not where you would expect this. And we need to be bold, and we need this message to be out there. And you, my friend, were a powerhouse in driving this, which you did pretty much single-handedly. I know this was a dream and a huge goal of yours, so kudos to you for pulling it off. Because when we did it at Casey House, there was a whole team, and there were dedicated staff, and there was all kinds of support, and some amazing individuals involved. And then you brought in the ray of undiluted frigging sunshine superstar, Suzanne, that brought us all together, that was very patient with us and very understanding and helped us have a good time with the whole thing. Just reflecting on that event and, you know, how long I've lived with HIV/AIDS and seen the whole continuum evolve, and to end up with something like this just felt so fulfilling and so gratifying. And to share it with you amazing guys was just the icing on the cake. So thank you.
Yeah, it was absolutely wonderful. And I think it was important for me, and I'm very grateful for the fact that, you know, thank you for what you said, but I absolutely, you know, did not do this on my own by any extent. I may have sort of had the spark of the idea, thanks to June's, but I could not have done it without the help of Mark Hill and Jane Clementi through Elevate. Certainly the folks at the Gilbert Center, ViV Healthcare, and all of our other wonderful sponsors who donated their time and money for us to be able to actually put this together. And of course, yeah, being able to, the coup was getting Suzanne on board. That was just, and I'll be honest, I had no clue who Suzanne Barr was until it was suggested that you should reach out to her. And I am so incredibly glad I did, because I think we all feel that not only did we get a chance to have a teacher in Suzanne, but I know I certainly feel I came away with a sister in Suzanne. And that's one of the things I really hate about COVID, was that we had all these plans to, you know, get together and spend time together and, you know, have people over to my house here in the summer. And none of that has been able to happen. But I digress. When Guy was talking about, you know, the sunshine, the person who brought the sunshine into the room, I knew he was talking about Suzanne, not about Carla. But I only say that because I love Carla to death. We teach one another like we are brother and sister. And Carla, I just want to hear from you, your experience with Be My HIValen+ine. I think it's wonderful that there's, you know, you and I who were diagnosed relatively not that long ago, as opposed to, you know, Kellie and Guy sort of at the other end of the spectrum as long-term survivors or thrivers. And so just tell us a little bit about your experience with Be My HIValen+ine and what it meant to you.
Wow. Well, I was actually more intimidated about the cooking portion of it. I'm one for cleaning, not so much the cooking. And it was fabulous. The work you did, you could see the hard work that you put into it. And having Suzanne there, that was really neat. It was something I've never done, nothing ever like that in my life. And it was nice. And the show of support from the community that were there. What did you say? There was 48 people there? Yeah, that was crazy. And just to get the word out in our community, I think it had a powerful impact. So I was really glad to be a part of that. And again, being the newbie, yeah, it's kind of nice to just, you know, be involved as much as I can. It's really important to me to do that.
And you talk about being a newbie as far as, you know, sharing your story, and you have that in common with Kellie, as sort of, you had shared your story prior to, you Be My HIValen+ine. But like Kellie, you've been doing a lot since. What sort of work have you been doing within the community since Be My HIValen+ine? Because I'm pretty sure you sit on a few different boards now too, do you not?
Yeah, I'm involved. I'm actively involved in the ICW North America, International Committee of Women, North America, and I'm the treasurer. So I'm on a new board and getting used to the ropes there. COVID put a lot of damper on a lot of activities that we had, and trips and groups and forums, and unfortunately, I'm still involved quite a bit online, and we have our monthly meetings. But other than that, with COVID, without the Gilbert Center open, and yeah, I haven't been as involved as I'd like to be, but still get my word out, the word out.
I mean, I saw quite recently you shared your story as part of the Love Positive Women campaign with the CPPN, the Canadian Positive People's Network, which I thought was wonderful, and you got to share the news even more publicly of your engagement. So congratulations on that.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
All right, Suzanne, my love, Suzanne. COVID has not been kind to a lot of us. And I got to say, when we finished up Be My HIValen+ine and we sort of went our separate ways, I was so excited about what the future would hold and the idea of us being able to collaborate again on Be My HIValen+ine for this year. Obviously didn't happen. But tell us a little bit about, again, your experiences with Be My HIValen+ine, what it meant for you to be involved in that, and tell us some of the story of Suzanne Barr post Be My HIValen+ine. I've watched you on Wall of Chefs and absolutely love being there. You're muted. Oh, because you need to be? Okay, we've got some, it's okay if there's kitchen clatter, it sort of goes with the show because we worked in kitchen clatter a year ago, right? So
this is true. Where do I start? Gosh, it's, I literally can remember the first email that I received, which was the just the initial engagement and the offer to come and to learn a bit about what was happening, what you guys were doing. And, Stacy and I immediately were like, our heads popped up like, oh gosh, yeah. Like for restaurants, it's one of the busiest holidays of the year for restaurants. And I think for us, we were still quite new and we were challenged with a lot of different obstacles as being new and just trying to get the word out. But this opportunity for me, just because of how strong I support any advocacy in initiatives, I'm on it. Like that same month, I was able to be with you all, and then I was then able to then be a part of one of the huge fundraisers for an organization called Food Share. So it's one of the biggest months for me as a woman of color. Black people, we get lit, we get called upon a lot in February. So there's that dichotomy of like trying to decide what makes sense for my own conscious and also my purpose in my being, and everything about what you guys were doing that evening sounded everything that I wanted to be a part of. My own personal education and learning about HIV, what that means to live with it, what that means to be a thriver, someone that's thriving in a space that there's so much ignorance still to this day. And I just feel like as a person of color, there's so many similarities that we share dealing with, just the way people stigmatize, how they judge, and how they just assume they know, but it's all based off of like misinformation. And so that evening was, for me, it wasn't just about a teaching opportunity, it was also about a learning opportunity. And those two pairings are something that I'm always constantly looking for, an opportunity to learn and to teach and to absorb and to give and receive. And just that whole engagement, that whole process is everything that I was a part of. And listening to each one of your personal stories, getting to talk to each and one of you, working next to Kellie making the cake, working with Carla to really kind of get organized. Carla kept me in order. She was like, this is where this needs to go. And just a guy taking me to see the area. I'd never been to Barrie before. And it was, my first time. And it was definitely not my last time. I had returned from Barrie, telling my husband and Miles about how we're going to Randy's house for the summer. And, COVID did what it did. And here we are now. We got back to the city. COVID shut us down. Maybe 3 months after that, I had to release a press statement about my partners in our restaurant had decided to close shop, shut the restaurant down without any reason and purpose. And when we attempted to purchase the lease and the business, they failed to give us that opportunity. And they said that was because they didn't want another restaurant in the space. And that to me was just another slap. And it was like another strike that people constantly try to keep us down, much like, you strong, amazing, incredible humans that I had a chance to work with. These things try to knock us down and try to block us from doing and being in the elements and in the areas and creating those magical moments. And so I really shut down. Mentally, I broke down. I had already dealt with a version of this story before, and I was just tired. I was tired. Everything in the news was exploding around Black Lives Matter. It was probably one of the worst moments in my life, to be honest, after, having such an experience with you all. But I learned a lot, and looking at a year later, if someone were to ask me, could I expect to be where I am now? No, because I didn't know where I was going, where I was coming. I didn't know what was next. I didn't know how I was going to pay rent. I didn't know anything. I didn't understand why this was happening, the timing of it. But much like, my experience working with you all, the hope, the desire to be and to live and to love and to share, that always stuck with me. And that still is with me when I think about how when any moments of like adversity comes up and I'm like, gosh, how can I get through this? And I think about all of your stories, and I think about this companionship, this relationship that we built in 3 days, and it was literally, truly, it was a gift. And it's still a gift to have you in my life. And even though we live not that far away, I know there will be a time that we will unite once again and we will cook again together.
What she just said there was not knowing where you're going to be following a year after being my HIV Valentine. I almost broke down crying. I'm trying to keep it really in. I got my Kleenex, but I'm trying to keep it in. That touched me. That just, fast forwarded me from 2020 to 21 right now, and where I've gone and what I've done. And I'm on the AIDS committee of, the Ontario AIDS Network Advisory Committee, advising the board. And I never thought I would be there. I never thought I could step forward and be open about being HIV positive and to get there, right? So I think it's all timing. The universe has it. I know they have it. I'm a true believer in what the universe wants me to do. They'll give it to me. They'll put it on my plate. I'll sit with it. I'll do it, right? So I just think like what just Susan said, like where I have come in my story in my life is amazing. I'm astonished at every time that, I open my mouth and I blurb out something and I'm like, where did I get that from? Oh yeah. Okay. Now I know the 4 years that I've actually been involved in the Gilbert Center, well, longer than that, but the 4 years I've been a client, a women's health coordinator, and the education and the courses that I've been sent on and everything. And now and learning and listening to people, and I'm picking myself up doing those things, like stopping for a minute and, getting my brain where I want to blurt out something and get it right. So I'm still learning, but I'm still moving forward one step at a time and one committee at a time and one mentorship at a time. And, if someone reaches out and says, hey, if you need some help, just, text me. And I'm like, okay, I got your number now. I'm going to text you all the time. So it's women. It's standing beside powerful women, and they're mentoring me, and then I can also mentor my next people behind me, right? So I think it's amazing. The road's been amazing.
So tell us more, Suzanne, about what you've been doing these days and where the road's been taking you.
To thank COVID for a couple reasons. It gave me my family back. It gave me my marriage back, like real talk. Like I really don't know how people juggle all the things that we did before COVID, because it felt like just you're going through the motion, whereas this has physically made you sit down and think. And my prayers go out for the many family and individuals that have lost folks during this time. But I really do have to just give thanks for this time that I have been able to share and embrace with my family and my partner, and like finding a way to express ourselves, finding a way to find joy in the little easy, things in our life, whether it's going out for a walk and exploring new parks and exploring different parts of myself that I didn't even know about. And, dreaming again, dreaming about the possibility of whatever I want to be doing and whom I want to inspire, who I want to be inspired by, where I want to go. I mean, when I came on the call with you guys today, I had the beach in the background, because I'm dreaming about the beach. But I'm still in these streets of Toronto, and it's cold as hell, and I'm ready to get up out of here, but I digress.
I hear you.
But I am so grateful. There is so much gratitude, and there is so much just life that is still meant to live. And I'm willing and able, and I stand up, and I'm standing.
Yeah. And I think you're right. I think COVID, while it's taken a lot from us, I think you're right. It's given a lot, and for me at least, a lot of that is perspective and being able to prioritize things that maybe you didn't realize were quite as important as they really are, and realize that all that time that we spend away from our families is a time that you don't get back, and to not be able to miss that now is wonderful. When you talked about the dance party and stuff, I can't help but think of conversations I overheard with you and Guy while we were doing Be My HIValen+ine, and Guy, talk to us a little bit about some of those conversations you and Suzanne had around music, and I know that's how you two really connected.
Go for it, Guy.
What were we listening to? Reggaeton? Was it reggaeton?
No, man, you were playing like Masters at Work. You were playing like UK two-step, house, soul music.
Okay, gospel house.
Yes. Danny Tenaglia. We connected on our love for house music, gospel house. And I just was, very excited.
That's cool. And Carla, what about you? I know you and Suzanne sort of connected around organizing and cleaning.
My forte.
It was a lot. But
it was a lot of fun. That was a lot of learning, a lot of fun. And I'm still not cooking. I get HelloFresh, so I don't have to do anything.
You can watch some
COVID has not changed my cooking
though.
Ability.
I love it.
Suzanne has done some tutorials online, and on her Instagram has got some recipes that you could try out.
I'll check it out.
Yeah,
she's like, no, it's okay.
Yeah, I'll look. I'm not going to promise anything, but I'll watch.
Well, listen, we're getting close to that time, and I knew this was going to happen, that I'd get a message from my wonderful producer, Deanne, that we were running behind and running out of time. So I need to go around the room here to each of you and just get a quick little wrap up of how you're feeling and any last comments you might want to have. So Kellie, we started with you. We'll go to you for that question as well. Final thoughts.
Thank you for doing this, Randy. I think I had emailed you a while back, like, hey, are we going to have a reunion party, even if on Zoom? I was so looking forward to this. And when I seen the email, and I'm like, yes, it's happening. I get to see everybody. I just think I'm inspired about being open now. And like Carla, I did the CPPN, and it's on YouTube, and you can check it out. It's my story. There's a lot more to it. It's been 36 years. So it's a wrap up of my story. So I'm just inspired. That's all.
Guy, final thoughts?
I just want to pick up on some of the things that Suzanne said about how COVID has affected us in the last year. It's made us pause. Our lives are getting faster and faster, social media, smartphones. I think one of the biggest impacts has been on people's mental health. That's been one of the negatives. One of the positives has made us stop, pause, and question what's truly valuable in our lives. And it's all about living in the moment. And if you're an HIV survivor, it's critically important. And Be My HIValen+ine gave us an opportunity to live in the moment. And while June's was on a bigger scale, whatever, blah, 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 it was the first, you, or maybe we, I think, topped it in one way. In the logistics and the setup, Draws was just a fabulous location, and it was one big table. It's all about building bigger tables, not walls. And the setup was that we could cook right there in front of them and be connected. And it was just so intimate. And that just blows my mind thinking back on that.
Yeah, so. Agreed. Carla, you've got about 30 seconds to give your final thoughts, my dear.
Oh, super, because I have none. No, I'm just kidding. No, I agree with all of those comments. I do. I'm not happy about COVID, but it has had time to reflect and slow down, which has been nice because I realized, that I have to look after myself. And yeah, I was kind of spinning out of control working 60 hours a week. And so I've slowed right down probably to like 20. So now when I'm not working, I eat. But I don't cook, I eat. Let's be clear.
And Suzanne, again, final thoughts and words.
Quick, fast. I ditto every comment that we just heard, and to add to that, just resiliency is huge. It just comes up continuously. I think we need that. We need some positive affirmations for what will be a new year ahead that we don't really know where it's going to lead us. But I do believe that if we continue to build community and continue to build tables and spaces for folks like us that understand the importance of sharing your story, then I think we have an incredible road ahead of us. And I'm truly thankful once again for this opportunity.
I couldn't have said it better myself. Thank you all. We've gone over, so I know Deanne's going to have some editing to do to get this done at the right time. But I could talk to you all for hours anyway. So maybe we'll do this again and have another show and just talk about other stuff. But I just want to start by saying thank you to each and every one of you for taking part in Be My HIValen+ine last year and for being part of the show tonight. And thank all of you for watching another episode of Let's Be Perfectly Queer.